Now, here's a phrase I haven't used in a while, at least a few weeks, and that's the phrase, I'm spoiling y'all. I've always said anytime I upload three or more videos in a 7-day span, I categorize that as me spoiling y'all. That's me spoiling y'all. And I don't mind because, as I mentioned in my last video, I'm going out of town. So after today, I know for a fact I won't be doing a video for another 5 days. Earliest I'll probably do another video after today will be next Tuesday. Because, yeah, I'm going to the state of Mississippi. Believe it or not, this will be my first time in Mississippi. I've never been to Mississippi before, ever. There's a lot of states in the United States that I haven't been to, even one time. I'd say out of the 50 states in the United States, I'd estimate that probably at least 25 to 30 of them I've never been to. Never been to. Now, I've never been to North Dakota, South Dakota. I've never been to Idaho. I've never been to Oregon. I've never even been to Louisiana. Most black people have been to Louisiana. I've never been to Louisiana. Although that's probably going to change in the next year or two, but yeah, I've never been to New Orleans. Never, ever. That's probably one popular city, particularly among black people, that I've never been to. I've never been to New Orleans. What are some other major cities and or states that I've never been to? Never been to Massachusetts. Yeah, I've never been to Massachusetts. I've never been to New Mexico. Matter of fact, speaking of that, I just went to Dallas. The first time I ever visited Texas for the first time was actually just last year. Now, I had gone to Texas for like a airplane layover. Like, how you had those airplane stops and you might lay over at an airport for like an hour or two. I had done an airport layover in Houston before. But as far as actually properly visiting the state or the city, the first time I ever went to Texas for an actual true visit was just last year in 2019, because one of my frat brothers, he lives in Dallas. I had a frat brother who I mentioned in one of my books. He goes by the name Bo. He had gotten killed, murdered in Fort Worth, Texas. And I went down there for memorial service and also to visit another one of my frat brothers. But yeah, last year was my first. But yeah, there's a lot of states I haven't been to in the United States. Yeah, I would say at minimum, there's probably been about 30 of the 50 states I've never been to. I've never visited. Like, not even one time. Especially if I had to pick a region, would be the Northwest region. A lot of states in the Northwest region, like Montana, Idaho, that type of thing. Most of those states I've never been to. Never, ever. Anyway, a lot of my YouTube portions has been transitioning into just me responding to certain email questions and or comments I've received. Things people say, ask, or comment on in my comment section, and just some of them I just feel compelled to talk about. So I'm going to use the word should. This video should not be over roughly 30 minutes. It might, but hopefully it won't. I'm going to try to keep this short. But I just want to address a few things in this video that were posed to me in the last 24 hours, 18 to 24 hours. Okay, one. I wrote little bullet points. So I'm looking at a sheet of paper. Okay, I had a black male follower of mine ask me, he said, Alan, you did a video, your video that's titled, Are Black Women More Problematic for Men Than Non-Black Women? And I've heard you say this before. You say it's your own fault. It's men's fault that women exhibit fucked up behavior. It's not the responsibility of women. Men need to take the blame for a lot of the fucked up behavior that women, and in particularly black women, exhibit. Okay. Number one, that's false. I never said that. I never said that. And actually, I already told this individual person through email, but I'm telling you guys, I never said that. I never said that a man is responsible for the fucked up behavior of women, and particularly black women. I've never said it in those exact words. What I've said, this is what I've said. Y'all see, this is what I tell y'all, man. A lot of y'all don't listen, man. Y'all don't listen carefully. This is what I said. I said that if you're choosing to interact with a woman, keyword, choosing. See, there's some interactions you have with people that are forced upon you, like most notably your own mother. You don't choose your mother. No man chooses their mother. The mother chooses them, gives birth to them. So that would be a relationship you didn't choose. If you get hired at certain companies or corporations, you don't get to choose your own coworkers, and in particular your own female coworkers. So that would be an example of interactions with women that are imposed upon you. Okay? Get that? Get it? Got it good? Then there's going to be another set of relationships, social interactions you're going to have with women, really people, period, male and female, but particularly women, and even more specifically black women, that you are going to choose. It's going, particularly if you're talking about interacting with people on a personal and social level, on a non-family level and a non-business level, pretty much every woman you're going to interact with on a personal or social level, you know, as far as stuff to do with your love life, your sex life, your overall social life, those are social interactions you are choosing to participate in. And what I'm basically saying, if you're in a relationship with a woman, let's say, I don't know, you've been in a 3-month relationship with a woman, particularly a black woman, and the relationship is just all kinds of fucked up. You can't put 100% or even 90% of the blame on the woman. Why? Because you chose that woman. You chose to enter into a relationship with that woman. Why are you still in that relationship? Why are you still in that relationship? Or even if it's not, say, a romantic relationship or a sexual relationship. Like, I've heard guys say, well, Alan, you always just talking about women, guys date and women we fuck, but what about, you know, the local grocery store and the black woman who's a cashier is a loud talking, you know, smart alecky bitch? Well, why you keep going to that grocery store then? That's my simple question. Why you keep going to that grocery store then? You telling me there's not another grocery store within 5 miles or so? Not one. Like, I know where I live, man, I got about minimum 3 grocery stores within roughly a 5-mile radius. I got a minimum of like 3 grocery stores. So no, that's a misquote. I never said that a man, and particularly a black man, is responsible for the fucked up behavior of women. I said, and I say this in my Mo 1 book, I say a man is always responsible for the happiness or unhappiness of his love life, his sex life, and his overall social life. That's what I've always said, is that you are personally responsible. In other words, if you got an unhappy, unsatisfying love life, you can't put that blame on women. You can put maybe a small percentage of blame on them, but no, absolutely no less than 50 to 60% of the blame got to be on you. It has to be on you. Sex life. If you're just into casual sex, you're not in a romantic relationship, you're just into casual sex, and you're unhappy or unsatisfied, you can't put all the blame on women. you're going to put a minimum 50 to 60% of the blame on yourself. Like I did a video, and I think this is what started this kind of misinterpretation. If you remember, I did a video where I said that something to the fact that men contribute just as much, if not more, to the flaws and weaknesses of today's dating scene as women do. Because there's a lot of men out here, particularly on YouTube, that try to make it seem like the reason why today's dating scene is fucked up is because of the women. And particularly a lot of black men try to make it seem like black women are like 90% responsible for the fact that the dating scene is fucked up. That's bullshit. You can never put that much blame on women when you have the choice not to deal with them. When you have the choice not to deal with them. I'm in a relationship with a black woman, so what's the problem? Matter of fact, I had a client just earlier today. I was having a telephone consultation with a client. And he's black. And he was on the verge of starting to criticize black women during that consultation. And I started lightheartedly admonishing him. And he stopped himself, though. He basically said, well, actually, I can't act like all black men are having problems with black women. Because, Alan, I know from watching your videos, it seemed like you're in a great relationship with a woman and she's black. So, obviously, you doing something right. Because at first, he was not only getting ready to talk about his own frustrations with black women, but he was almost going to imply that all black men in society are having problems with black women. And then again, he stopped himself because he realized, I'm not having problems with black women. I'm not having problems with black women. That's not to say I've never had some disappointing or irritating social interactions with black women. I most certainly have, and all black men have had a percentage. But as I've said a number of times, my positive experiences and social interactions with black women far outweigh my negative ones. Starting with roughly my senior in high school up until now, my positive experiences and social interactions with women, and particularly black women, far outweigh my negative ones. Far outweigh. Most black women, I've said this many times, I know people hate when I say it, most black women I've dealt with treated me like a king. I'm just going to keep it real. If that makes me sound somewhat conceited or whatever, so be it. But it's the truth. And what I mean by treat me like a king, like again, I've mentioned this before, I've had black women who have paid my bills when I didn't have enough money to pay my own bills. I've had black women let me use their cars when my car was either in the shop or when I simply didn't own a car. I've had black women buy me clothes. I've had black women let me live with them rent-free or mortgage-free. I've had black women help me get jobs, or that they themselves, if they were in a position to hire me, that have hired me for a job, and so on and so on. So you ain't gonna never catch me on here bitching about really women in general, but particularly black women, because, man, I've had so many black women that have hooked me up over the course of my life, it ain't even funny, man. I've let like little simple things like, I went to a party and everybody else had to pay to get into the party, and a black woman recognized me and she said, no, let Alan in for free. Let Alan in for free. So, but my main point is, if you're choosing any relationship that involves you choosing to participate in it, then you got to take the blame for it when things go wrong. You got to take at minimum 50 to 60% of the blame for when things go wrong. Now, again, for those relationships that are imposed on you, which would typically be either family-related relationships or business-related relationships, I might halfway give you a pass. Because I ain't gonna lie, I told you before, I used to do a lot of complaining about women I had to deal with in the workplace that I really didn't want to deal with until my father laid me out in 1995. And in so many words, told me to quit being a whiny bitch. His attitude was, if you don't like the women you work with, quit and get another job. That was basically his thing. I was working at NBC Studios. His simple thing was, if you don't like the women you're working with, they get on your nerves to such a high degree, then plain and simply, you need to quit and find another job. Or shut the fuck up. So anyway, that's one thing. Similar to that, somebody said to me, Alan, I was listening to your last 2 or 3 videos, and you kept saying Mode 1 is not rocket science. Mode 1 is not rocket science. And you make it seem like being successful with women is this easy thing that, and I'm sorry, Alan, you personally might have had an easy time getting women to want to have sex with you, but the average man out here in society is struggling. The average man out here in society is struggling to get even one fuck buddy, let alone 2 or more fuck buddies. So I have to respectfully disagree with you. I don't think it's easy as dating out here today is as easy as you make it out to be. Okay? I could give a 2-hour explanation of the various things that contribute to the challenges of today's dating scene. Truthfully, if you read my books, and particularly the Beta Male Revolution, which I call my prequel to my other 3 books, that book, if no other book, sets the stage for why it is challenging. Number one, I'll start by saying, I do recognize that most men have a challenging time securing a new girlfriend or a new casual sex lover. I do understand it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a dating coach. Simple as that. I wouldn't be a dating coach if I didn't understand that. So I very much understand. Why do you think I became a professional dating coach? It's because I recognized that a lot of men were having challenges securing either a long-term romantic companion or 1 or more short-term non-monogamous sexual companions. I realized that people were having challenges. That's why, again, that's one of the things that motivated me to become a dating coach. I recognize a need, and I provide knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice to satisfy that need. I'm going to give you the most simple. I believe, y'all should know from some of my previous videos, I believe in KISS. Keep it simple and straightforward, or another way of putting it is keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. I don't like to overcomplicate things. I like to keep things real simple. Here's a simple deal. If you go to my main website, Direct Approach Dating. By the way, on a quick side note, I don't know if I've already mentioned this. Do you know I own that now? Yes, I own that. You might be saying, you own what? I actually own the phrase Direct Approach Dating. Direct Approach Dating. I own that. Yes, seriously, I own that. Like no other dating coach can use that as part of their marketing. That's now, believe it or not, it took me a 1.5 years to secure that trademark. Yep, it took me, I applied for that trademark for that phrase like in June or July of 2018. And I just got approved for it within the last 2 weeks. But the phrase Direct Approach Dating and also Direct Approach Dating Coach, I now own those phrases. Seriously, I do. I own those phrases. Yeah, that means that other people can still use those phrases like in just casual conversation. But if they were to use those phrases to try to promote a business, I could actually take them to court trademark and sue them for trademark infringement. I own those phrases. But if you go to my main page, Direct Approach Dating, you'll see I divide pretty much all interactions between women into 3 categories. Which is strictly sexual, strictly non-sexual, or a blend of both. Strictly sexual, strictly non-sexual, or a blend of both. Strictly sexual, we typically refer to that as a fuck buddy relationship or simply a casual sex relationship. That's what a strictly sexual relationship is. Anytime you're involved in a fuck buddy relationship or a casual sex relationship, that means your main objective is just to spend time with that person of the opposite sex, strictly for sex. Like 95 to 99% of the time you're going to spend with them is going to be for just sex. On the flip side, strictly non-sexual interactions, a series of strictly non-sexual interactions, we call that a platonic friendship. That's plain and simply a platonic friend. Or on other, secondly, it could be a business relationship. I was just talking about business relationships. That could be a business relationship, like you and a coworker. So it could be a platonic friendship on the social end, or it could be a business relationship, or just simply a non-sexual relationship. And then a blend of both is what most people call a romantic relationship. Anytime you're enthusiastic about spending time with someone both sexually and non-sexually, that means you're involved in a romantic relationship. For example, my current relationship with my girlfriend. As you know, I used to always talk about how most of the women I would encounter in my life, I really didn't enjoy spending time with them non-sexually. My girlfriend is probably the first major girlfriend of mine that I enjoy her non-sexual companionship just as much, if not slightly more, than I do her sexual companionship. And that's rare for me. Because starting with probably my teenage years, most of the women I messed around with in my life, I enjoyed their sexual companionship probably at least 3 times more than I did their non-sexual companionship. It's rare when I've met a woman that I was equally enthusiastic about spending time with them both sexually and non-sexually. But my current girlfriend falls in that category. But yeah, so those are the 3 types of relationships you can have. Here's Alan Ryan Currie's really, really brief assessment of why you have problems and challenges on both ends. Here's what it comes down to. I'll start with on the women's side, then I'll move to the male side. On the female end, here's what I know as a fact. For the average woman, exceptions aside, for the average woman, women, they meet far more men that they do not want to have sex with than they do want to have sex with. Women meet far more men on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis that they do not want to engage in sexual relations with than there are men that they do want to. Mark that down as fact number 1 on the female side. That's number 1. Number 2, even among the men that they are reasonably interested in having sex with, they would much prefer to have sex with a man within the context of a long-term monogamous relationship rather than a short-term and or non-monogamous relationship. That's fact number 2. Of the men that women do want to have sex with, they would much prefer to have sex with that guy within the context of a long-term monogamous relationship rather than a short-term and or non-monogamous context. So what does that mean for you as a man? What does that mean for you as a man? Particularly when you think about my archetype of the woman, the manipulative time waster. Particularly when you think about my archetype of the woman, the manipulative time waster. That means there's a lot of women out here, plain and simple, that are going to give you the misleading impression that they're interested in your sexual companionship or a blend of both your sexual and your non-sexual companionship, but really they just want your non-sexual companionship. My question to you related to my Mode 1 approach is, how are you going to find that out? How are you going to find that out? That's my question to you as a man. How are you going to find that out? See, that's the beauty of Mode 1 and just being direct in general. See, when you Mode 1, if I'm interacting with a woman who's a manipulative time waster that basically has no interest in being in a long-term romantic relationship with me or no interest in engaging in 1 or more episodes of short-term non-monogamous casual sex with me, but she really just wants to take advantage of my non-sexual time, attention, and companionship, or take advantage of my financial resources and material possessions. Mode 1 allows me to find that out very quickly, very effectively. See, when you're indirect, you either, at worst case scenario, you're not going to find that out at all, or at minimum, it's going to take you longer. It's going to take you longer. Plain and simple. That's not opinion, that's a fact. When you are indirect with women and you're interacting with a woman who's a seasoned, savvy, manipulative time waster, it is going to take you much longer to identify that she's a manipulative time waster when you're indirect than it is when you're direct, like Mo 1. With Mo 1, I can find out like that. And I was telling a client today, here's what a lot of people have told me, and I agree with it. I've had I'm talking about a lot of people, friends and acquaintances that said, Alan, I think you made a mistake limiting your 4 modes of verbal communication to just the realm of dating and relationships. I think your Mo 1 approach just helps you deal better with people, period. And I've even said that to people. See, the beauty of Mo 1, even like, say, you're dealing with somebody of your own gender, there's a lot of people out here who are bullshit artists. Plain and simply. They're dishonest, disingenuous, highly misleading and manipulative bullshit artists. Mo 1 helps you identify those type of people very, very quickly. See, when you have a verbal communication style that's overly polite, overly cautious, vague and ambiguous, not really confident, no backbone, bullshit artists are going to be able to take advantage of you and waste your time on a regular basis. And again, I'm not just talking about women, I'm talking about even members of your own gender. They're going to be able to waste your fucking time. When you're Mo 1, man, it allows you to quickly identify the people who are full of shit. Mo 1 has helped me in my dealings with other men because it's helped me to be able to quickly identify when people are being full of shit and just trying to bullshit me and or waste my time. But yeah, that's my question. So those are 2 facts you got to keep in mind with women. Women, on an average basis, they're going to meet far more men that they don't want to have sex with than men that they do. And of the men that they do want to have sex with, they're going to meet far more men that they would rather have long-term, strictly monogamous sex with than short-term and or non-monogamous sex with. And my question to you as a man is, how are you going to go about distinguishing who's who? Number 1, how are you going to go about distinguishing who are the women that are interested in having sex with you from the women who are not interested in having sex with you but are pretending like they do want to have sex with you? How? How are you going to go about doing that? The answer, Mo 1. Among the women who do want to have sex with you, how are you going to distinguish between the women who are interested in having long-term sex versus short-term sex with you? Monogamous sex versus non-monogamous sex with you? How do you find that out? Again, the answer is Mo 1. Plain and simple. So that's the female end. Now the male end, it's similar, but a little different. Similar, but a little different. On the male end, it ain't just men, obviously, it ain't just women who play games. Men play games too. Here's the deal with men. Here's fact number 1 with men. Men, just like I said, most women, when it comes to having sex with a guy, the vast majority of women would prefer to be in a long-term monogamous relationship rather than a short-term and or non-monogamous sexual relationship. Well, men are pretty much just the opposite. Men are pretty much just the opposite. The average man meets more women that he would prefer to engage in short-term and or non-monogamous sex with than women that he would want to engage in long-term, strictly monogamous sex with. I say that in my book, Who Said Again. Like, speaking for myself, I would probably say over the course of my life, I would say no less than 95% of the women I've met in my life that I was physically attracted to, I just wanted to fuck them. Whether it was 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, whatever. I would say roughly no less than 95% of the women that I've met in my life, I just wanted to fuck them. I didn't want them to be my long-term girlfriend or future wife. And I for damn sure didn't want none of them to be my long-standing platonic friend. I wanted them to be my fuck buddy. But the reality of most men is that most men don't have the balls to tell women that straightforwardly. Most men don't have the balls to do that. So what do? Just like women play games, men play games. Most men are scared to let women know straightforwardly that they just want to fuck them. So what do? They do one of two things usually. They pretend like they want to be that woman's next long-term boyfriend in order to get the pussy. Or on the opposite end, they pretend like they're content with being that woman's purely platonic male friend, hoping that their lucky day is going to come. That's men's game plan. So both men and women play games. Both men and women are disingenuous in terms of what type of companionship they really want. The number one time women are going to be reluctant to be upfront, specific, and straightforwardly honest with men is when they know they want your non-sexual time, attention, and companionship. They want your non-sexual time, attention, and companionship, but they don't want your sexual companionship. See, that's when women are going to be reluctant to be mode one. Most women are not mode one with men about the fact that they just want your non-sexual time, attention, and companionship, but they don't want your sexual companionship in any way, shape, or form. Men are just the opposite. Most men are reluctant to be mode one when they know they just want a woman's sexual attention and companionship, but they don't want nothing to do with that woman's non-sexual time, attention, and companionship. Like as I mentioned on yesterday's video, like Alpha Male Strategist, I remember that was his first disagreement with one of my videos back in 2017. He basically said, Alan, I don't understand how you can have casual sex with women without giving them some type of misleading impression that you want to also spend time with them non-sexually. He said, in my experience, that's damn near impossible. He said, in order to get, I'm paraphrasing, these weren't exactly, but paraphrasing, this is essentially what he said. He said, Alan, in order to have casual sex with most women, you gotta either genuinely be willing to spend some time with them non-sexually, or at minimum, you gotta be willing to give them the misleading impression that you want to spend time with them non-sexually.
This is a reminder. Credit union.
No, I gotta run an errand.
This is a reminder. Credit union.
Thank you. That was actually AMS. That was his first debate with me in my comment section back in fall of 2017. And in his defense though, that's how a lot of men feel. Again, that's one of the reasons why a lot of men gravitate towards indirect game rather than direct game, is for the very argument that Alpha Male Strategist was presenting. Most men don't feel like you are able to successfully get women in bed for casual sex unless you pretend like you also desire, value, and appreciate that woman's non-sexual companionship. And that's why you got a lot of mode 2 guys out here, mode 3 guys out here. But I'm one who says, fuck that. I'm not willing to do that. I know some guys are. And if they are willing to do that, more power to them. I'm not willing to give a woman the misleading impression that I want both her sexual and non-sexual companionship when I know for a fact that I just want her sexual companionship. Even if that means me, you could say, losing out on some pussy. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not going to lie to no woman. I'm not going, what the fuck? Thought I unplugged my phone. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's really, a lot of people make this whole dating thing seem like it's super duper complicated and all this. It really comes down to everything I just said. It really comes down to everything I just said. See, in other words, here's when dating would be easy. You want to know the simple way when, well, it depends on what you call easy. There will never be a situation where all men will have the equal ability to attract the same quality and quantity of women. So if you're talking about easy in that regard, dating ain't gonna never be easy in that regard. I can tell you that right now. And see, that's what a lot of men don't want to hear. There's never going to be a situation where a guy who's 5'4" and 300 pounds with 5 teeth in his mouth is going to be able to pull the same quality and quantity of women as a guy who looks like Brad Pitt, George Clooney, or Boris Kojo. That's never going to happen. Ever. I'm just telling you right now. That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. So if you're talking about easy, but so I'm not talking about, when I use the word easy, I'm not talking about, there's never going to be a day where all men, all heterosexual men are going to have an easy time attracting high quality women, 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s, and a high quantity of women. But in terms of easy to understand what the problem is, in terms of men being just simply, it being easy for men to understand why there's so many problems and frustrations to do with dating, is because of everything I just said. It mainly comes down to a lack of straightforward honesty, man. Again, the main weakness of women are not straightforwardly honest when it comes to the men that they're interested in non-sexually, but not interested in sexually. That's the weakness on the woman's end, is when it comes to be straightforwardly honest about the men that they're interested in spending time with non-sexually, but not interested in spending time with sexually. With men, it's pretty much just the opposite. Men are the most reluctant to be straightforwardly honest when it comes to the women who they only want to spend time with sexually and have no interest in spending time with non-sexually. So both of them have a weakness. It ain't the fault of one or the other. Both of them are contributing to all this manipulative head games in the dating scene. If all men were just to straight up tell women, hey, I just want to fuck you, which is what I do. If all men were more wanted, just went to every woman they wanted that casual sex with, say, hey, I just want to fuck you. And the woman either says yeah, nay, and if they say nay, you say, okay, I'm moving on to the next woman. And all women were to say, hey, I have no interest in laying in bed with you. I just want you to flatter me, entertain me, and listen to my long, boring-ass stories and spend some money on me. And you either say yay or nay. And if you say nay, they just say, okay, I'm going on and moving to the next guy. Dating would not be as complicated as it is right now. Get it? Got it? Good. And another thing I wanted to talk about is Valentine's Day. This was just a really simple, straightforward question to me. Some guy asked me in a consultation, he said, Alan, is it okay to buy a woman a Valentine's Day gift if she's not your wife, fiance, or long-term girlfriend? If she's just a woman you're attracted to, a woman you got a crush on? Do you think this beta to buy a woman a Valentine's Day gift? Hell yeah, I think it's beta as fuck to do some shit like that. Why would you want to buy a woman any gift and y'all ain't fucking? Huh? Why? Why? You would be setting yourself up to have so many women use you and manipulate you, it wouldn't even be funny once you gain a reputation for doing shit like that. Now, if you're talking about a gift that costs, I don't know, $2.50, go for it. Less than $10, I'd even say go for it. But other than that, fuck no. Why? Why would you do that? Like, I know me, and y'all should know this already. One thing about me and my adult life, when it comes to women that I looked at as just fuck buddies, like women that either were my fuck buddies or I wanted them to be just my fuck buddies, I don't spend no money on no bitches. And if I do, it's probably maybe $5. And I'm not even joking or exaggerating. I don't spend no money on fuck buddies, man. If a woman's your wife, yeah, it's okay to spend money on her, particularly on Valentine's Day. Matter of fact, I would say it's a requirement that you should buy your wife something on Valentine's Day. You don't have to be nothing super expensive, but just a little token of your appreciation for being a good woman to you. If a woman's your fiance, same thing. If a woman's your long-term girlfriend, no problem. But if a woman ain't in one of those three categories, why you want to spend money on her? Why? You trying to earn brownie points? You know how I feel about earning brownie points? No, don't do that. Unnecessary, counterproductive. That's part of what being a simp is. You simping. I don't even like to use that term really, but that's That would be the true definition of simping. You buying women Valentine's Day gifts that you ain't tongue kissed yet. Your dick ain't been in their mouth. Your dick ain't been in their pussy yet. Fuck that. Real talk. Real talk. What's the final thing I wanted to talk about? Okay, 2 more things and then I'm done. 1, this whole originality issue. I think I'm going to go over 30 minutes. I said I wasn't going to go over 30 minutes, but I'm going to go over 30 minutes. Probably going to be about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Somebody wrote me, and it was kind of a stupid comment. And I usually say I don't respond to stupid comments, but I'm going to touch on it. Some guys wrote me and said, man, Alan, you know, I kind of like you and shit. With all due respect, though, man. You know, we're living in the 21st century with the internet, and there's a high exchange of information over the internet. So technically, how can you say that anything you say is truly original when there's so much shared information on the internet? I don't remember exact words I don't have in front of me, but he went on to say, he basically was like, Alan, you gotta understand, it's almost inevitable that people are going to steal from other people, borrow from other people, copy off of other people, because that's just, he just chalked it up to, that's just part of the living in the age of the internet, and you just gotta accept it. Insert dog face here. So you saying, since we living in the age of the internet, that I can just copy a song written by Beyonce and just make money off of it? So you saying because we living in the age of the internet, I could just get some money to open up a fast food joint with 2 golden arches and call it McDonald's and start selling Big Macs and filet of fish? You're saying that I can just become a filmmaker and write a movie called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and have the same exact characters and the same dialogue as Quentin Tarantino? That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. You're saying that I could just listen to some videos by self-help guru Tony Robbins, and I can just go out, sponsor a workshop, charge people money, and just repeat everything that Tony Robbins says word for word or almost word for word. That's what you're telling me. And I'm telling you, you must be smoking crack cocaine, because that's not how life works, and more specifically, that's not how the United States business world works. You can't just copy other people's shit and make money off of it. You can't. That's literally why you have copyright laws, trademark laws, patent laws. That's literally why you have those 3 things. You can't just be copying people's shit and making money off of it. And particularly when it comes to somebody like a book author or a self-help guru, you can't just take their knowledge, wisdom, and insight and duplicate it either exactly word for word or damn near word for word and make money off it without any type of penalty or consequence. The U.S. business system does not allow that. Again, that's the whole reason why you have things like copyrights, trademarks, and patents, what's known as intellectual property. See, my body of knowledge, wisdom, and insight, my unique body of knowledge, wisdom, insight, that's what's known as my intellectual property. That's what's known as my intellectual property. You cannot repeat my intellectual property and present it as if it's your own. The closest thing that you can do to copying somebody else's stuff, particularly if you're talking about word for word or close to word for word, is like, let's say I'm doing a workshop and there's a portion of my speech where I use a direct quote from Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, as long as right after I use that quote from his book, I point out that Stephen Covey was the one who originated that quote. And then furthermore, I encourage the people at that workshop to go and buy his book. See, then I can get away with borrowing his stuff. Then a way I can get away with borrowing at least a small portion of his stuff. If I give him proper credit attribution and I encourage people to buy his book. But if I do a workshop and I take some knowledge, wisdom, and insight from Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I try to present it as if it's my own shit, and if somebody says, hey, that's Stephen Covey stuff, and I say, hey, man, the game is the game is the game. The game is the game is the game. Yeah, you want to know what's going to be the game? It's when the Covey Institute, which Stephen Covey founded, sends me first a cease and desist letter, and if I treat that like a joke or ignore it, I get a lawsuit for like $2 million filed against me. That's the shit that happens. So after this, I really don't want to talk about this originality stuff and copycat and plagiarism and infringement, but I'm just breaking it down to you, man. It is illegal. It's not just unethical. See, some people are treating it like it's simply unethical. No, there's some things that are strictly unethical. Then there's other things that are a combination of unethical and illegal. It is literally illegal for somebody to make money off of someone else's intellectual property. It's illegal. That ain't just, again, that's not just unethical, that's illegal. You cannot do that. And then similar, somebody wrote me and said, Alan, well, why do you have to, I understand where you come from, but why do you have to talk about it so much? I told you why, among other reasons. See, here's a slick thing that people who are genuine copycats try to do. See, people who are genuine copycats, they're going to try to do one or two things. I've already talked about this. They're either going to try to become cool with you, so it looks like they have your blessings to copy your shit, which is why a lot of people try to become cool with me and try to collaborate with me and shit. Because if they do copy my shit, then it looks like they have my blessings. And I've said multiple times before, it ain't nobody in the manosphere who has my blessings to make money on my shit. Nobody, not even one person. Not even one person. There's nobody in the manosphere, as well as the world in general, who has my blessings or has my permission to make money off of my... Now, I am going to, in the future, do that. I'm going to essentially franchise myself, duplicate myself, basically what McDonald's did to get, how Ray Kroc helped them franchise themselves. And that would involve that person purchasing a trademark license from me. Whoever, like if I was to hire like 10 guys to become Mode 1 dating coaches, what they would have to do is they would have to purchase a trademark license from me. Then they would have my blessings to repeat all my shit, because they would purchase. Because see, with McDonald's, if you open a McDonald's franchise, McDonald's ain't gonna let you make all the money. You're gonna have to pay them a percentage of your profits. You're gonna get to keep most of it, but you're gonna have to pay them at least a small percentage of franchise fees, franchise royalties. And say, with me, man, I don't really have a problem with somebody making money off of my knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice if I'm making a cut of it, like say, I don't know, 35% and they keeping 65%. I don't have a problem with that. But if I ain't gonna let nobody make money off of my stuff and I ain't making no money too, oh, fuck no. I ain't that generous hearted. So anyway, the shit's illegal. It ain't got nothing to do with it. I don't care about we living in the internet age. Again, just the fact that you have the existence of copyright laws, trademark laws, and patent pending laws lets you know that the shit's not only unethical, it's illegal. And finally, what was the final thing somebody addressed to me? Oh, a guy wrote just this morning, he said, Alan, I think the problem with your industry, your profession, dating coaching, is that you don't have any specific qualifications for it. You don't have any specific certifications, qualifications, mandatory prerequisite requirements. no governing body that oversees the industry. It's like pretty much anybody off the street could just come on YouTube, start giving advice, and call himself a dating coach. Well, actually, that's a criticism I agree with. That's a criticism I agree with. And as much as possible between now and the day I die, I'm going to try to change that. I'm actually serious. I'm going to try to change that. Because I do think that's the problem, man. It's just like in the university system, man. You can't just up and start teaching a college class, like just if you feel like it. You can't do that. Like, at least not in this country. I can't speak for other countries. But I know for a fact in the United States and most major countries, you cannot just up and decide you're going to teach a college class. They won't allow you to do that. Usually, you're going to have to be in possession of a PhD degree to teach a college level class. If not a PhD degree, at minimum, you're going to have a master's degree. You're going to have a master's degree, usually pursuing a PhD. That's the two main people that are usually going to be able to teach college courses. It's either people who have a PhD or people who have a master's degree that are pursuing a PhD, in the midst of pursuing a PhD degree. If you got just a bachelor's degree, typically you're not going to be able to teach a college level class. But guess what? Guess what? Guess who was one of the few exceptions to that? I think you know already. Me. Yep. Again, this is me tooting my horn a little bit. And speaking of credibility and qualifications, see, one of my qualifications for giving advice I was actually invited. I was actually invited to teach a college course. In spring of 2009, I actually taught a course at Indiana University Northwest in Gary, Indiana, called Dating for 21st Century Singles. Dating for 21st Century Singles. And the woman who hired me told me, she told me two things. One of the reasons they hired me without owning a PhD is that she said my book was almost like a PhD. Like a lot of people, like Tony Robbins said that one time. He said a book is almost a first cousin to having a PhD degree. When you've taken time to write a book that has, some unique, keyword unique knowledge, wisdom, and insight, and unique assertions in it, unique theories in it, then that's like having a PhD degree. Because when you get your PhD, you have to submit a dissertation. A dissertation is pretty much like a book. That's basically what a dissertation is. That's the last requirement before you get your PhD. You have to do a dissertation. That's pretty much your own book. So the two are very similar. But yeah, the woman who hired me, she said, Alan, your book, Mode 1, is almost like its own PhD or dissertation. And number two, yeah, she told me I was the only person in the history of Indiana University, not just Indiana University Northwest, the satellite campus, but I'm talking about all 7 campuses in the whole entire Indiana University system. She said, Alan, you're the first person to ever teach a college level class on the subject of dating and relationships and human sexuality that was not in possession of a PhD or at bare minimum was not in possession of a master's degree. Yeah, I only had a bachelor's degree. When I taught that class, I have a bachelor's degree in economics with a minor in psychology and theater and drama. I did do 1 year of graduate business school, but I didn't finish. But man, I was the first person in Indiana University history because I'm a bad motherfucker. All right. And I'm going to do a brief Patreon exclusive portion. Join me in my Patreon exclusive portion.